So let's have a conversation. Is today's music really trash? Or are you just old and stuck in your ways?
Bolo!
So the other night I was scrolling on YouTube and I came across a channel called Audio Masterclass, and they had a title, and I'm not sure if this is the exact title, but it was called "Why is Modern Music So Bad?" And I went ahead and clicked on it because I was actually very curious to hear what this guy had to say. Now, he is an older gentleman. He seems to be older than me. I'm 45 years old, and he seems to be a little bit older. And he brought up some really good points in the video, and it should be something that you guys need to check out. So I'll try to put a link in the description for you guys to check out his channel and to check out the actual video, or I'll try to put something at the end of the video to so you guys can click on it and see it. However, he brought up some really good points in the video, basically stating that regardless of any time in music, people who were older did not like the music that was currently being played at that time. So it didn't matter if it was the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the turn of the century, all the way until now. The older generation typically did not like the newer music that came out. And he brought up some really good points on that, because if you really think about it, when were you exposed to the music that you typically like? You were exposed to that music when you were younger. So the music that I like, which is hip hop, rap, I was exposed to that when I was very young. And believe it or not, my favorite artist during that time was MC Hammer. You couldn't tell me nothing about MC Hammer, man. Couldn't tell me nothing about MC Hammer. And one of my favorite artists at that time was Chubb Rock. I love Chubb Rock. You know what I'm saying? That's to this day, when that song comes on, it just goes crazy. I can't remember the lyrics all the way. Treat me right. Ooh, y'all know it's what I'm talking about. But that was one of my favorite songs of all times, and I was a huge Chubb Rock fan. And then, of course, I love Snoop and Dre. I love Tupac. Love Biggie. Huge fan of Redman and Method Man at the time. Of course, Wu-Tang, Juvenile, the whole Cash Money. You know what I'm saying? I was a bigger Juvenile fan than anything. All the No Limit stuff. And then plus me being in the South, I just loved a lot of artists from the South and stuff like that. But I was a big Fab fan. You know what I'm saying? Loved the stuff that Fab was doing. I liked a lot of stuff that Fab was doing. Nappy Roots, like their stuff as well. So I was very diverse with a lot of stuff, Even had, I liked the little Uncle Luke at that time too, Had to like a little Uncle Luke. But as you guys can see, a lot of that stuff came from when I was younger. So you got to think all the way from the age of like 6 all the way until now, I am a huge consumer of hip hop. And the good thing about me is, since I'm a producer, I have to keep my ear to the street. So I have to listen to a lot of the newer stuff. And I ain't gonna lie to you, some of the newer stuff is a little interesting, to say the least. And I don't necessarily hate it. It's just not my cup of tea. And the reason why is, I think that as you get older, you kind of get stuck in your ways a bit. And it happens with musicians. It happens with producers as well, that even when we create, we kind of create in a way to where we still try to balance out the new with the old. And with some people, the older you get, you just say, oh, it's trash. Because some of you guys right now are going to say, nah, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. But truth be told, some of you guys are starting to turn into the same people that hated the music that was in the 80s, that hated the music that was in the 90s, and hated the music that was in the early 2000s. Because a lot of you guys who watch my channel are around about my age. Okay, some of y'all are in pre-unk status. That's like 34, 35, and some of y'all are in grandfather status, which is like, 65, 70. So I see how many of y'all come on here, and I see, the age ranges and everything on here. So I know who watches my channel. Okay, there's a few kids that watch it from 18 to like 25 and 18 to 35, but it's more you guys who are around about my age. And some of you guys are turning into the old guys who do not like none of the younger guys' music. Now, he brought up a good point. He said in his video that around about the age 20, that's kind of like that cutoff point to where you kind of are kind of stuck in your ways when it comes to music. And if I really think about it, when I was about 25, it was 2005. And you got to think of the music that was out. You know, Young Jeezy was out at that time. Akon and stuff was out at that time. You know, Jay-Z stuff was out. It was a lot of pretty good music during that time. And even though there's a lot of good music, there was a lot of bad music as well. But, you know, it was just that time. It was that era of that music. And as time goes on, I always try to tell my kids, like, hey, you need to go ahead and listen to this right here. This right here is some good music. You don't want to lose out on this. But they're telling me like, okay, Dad, yeah, but we got, you know, this dude here. And then, you know, you listen to it and it's like, oh, okay. Now, I can't hate on it because, you know, as a producer, I'm sitting here like trying to internalize, okay, this is type of beats and stuff they like. Oh, this is type of cadence they're on. Okay, cool. Even though a lot of these kids rap at like 1,000 miles per hour on a slow beat, but, you know, that's just what it is. But I ain't hating on it. But some of you guys completely despise it and say it's trash, it's just noise, they're just saying anything on these records that has no type of substance or whatever. But we have to come to realize that was the same thing that happened to the music that we even enjoyed. See, you got to think when people were making music in the 80s, people that were like 20 and 30 years older than the kids at that time didn't like the music in the 80s. And then people who liked music in the 80s did not like the music that came out in the turn of the century. And then people now who used to like the music at the turn of the century do not like the music now. So it's like that 20-year gap. 20, I'll say really 30. Once you get to like age 30, you're kind of setting your roots a little bit. You know, there's very few people right now who are 65 years old who really like the music that is out right now. You know what I'm saying? There's very few people at 55 right now who really like the music that is out right now. And there's a few people who are like 45 years old and a little lower that can get with the new music. But, you know, a lot of times when we're at the sports bars, because, you know, that's what a lot of us go to now. We'll go to a little bar or something somewhere. We don't really do clubs. And they might play some stuff from like 2003, 2004, 2005, and the whole club just goes crazy. Because that's what we're used to. That's what we're rooted in. Now, some people may say all of the new music right now is terrible. But to be honest with you, it's not all of the new music because there is a whole bunch of new music that is out right now that sounds amazing. It's just not mainstream. And then I think sometimes we kind of generalize this whole situation and say, well, all the new stuff these kids are bringing out right now is bad. But really, it's not. There's some really good kids out here that is making some really dope stuff that we just don't hear or we just don't even search for it anymore. Now, I can remember back in the day going into the CD store and not really knowing what CD to buy because, you know, I just got like 25, 30 bucks. And I was like, you know, I'm going to get me a really nice CD. And a lot of times what I used to do is I used to buy the CD, of course, by the genre of the CD, but I used to buy the CD depending on how the cover looked. If I'm just looking for a new artist. And I used to actually go in there and kind of search and say, okay, I think I'm going to get this CD or even this tape. Y'all remember what tapes are, right? But I used to get stuff like that off of just what the cover looked like. Or I would go ahead and, you know, they'll have the listening booths out, listen to it. I'll listen to a few songs, you know, they'll make you kind of skip through it. Back in the day, they just let you play the whole CD, but then they got smart and it was like, we're just going to let you get some snippets. But I would listen to a few of the snippets and I'd say, you know what, I'll give this a try. And I think right now we're not giving music a try anymore. I think right now we're just basing a lot of things off of just a generalized context of how this whole thing is. And I'm telling you guys right now, I'm not old when it comes to music. Okay, I ain't old at all. Like I'm claiming that. I don't want to be the old guy in the room saying that everything is terrible, everything is horrible, because I know it's not. I can go to iTunes right now and look up certain things right now, and there's some great music that is going on, and I can accept that. And then there's some things on there that I just cannot accept. And maybe it's because of age, but you come to think about it, even back in the day, I didn't like every Jay-Z song. I didn't like every Nas song. You know, I didn't like everything that was out at that time. It was some things I liked, and there was some things I actually thought was trash back then, which you guys probably, y'all can probably agree with me on that. It was a lot of things that were trash that came out back then. But we didn't put it on, hey, this is the new generation, it's trash. No, we just didn't like certain songs. I think right now we're basing the new music on the type of music we used to listen to back in the day. Because, some of you guys have older ears. I mean, just being honest, I can just go by what some of you guys send me in my emails with like your beats and certain songs too. Because I do listen to certain beats and certain songs that, from time to time, even though a lot of that stuff I erase. But I might listen to it and I'd be like, oh my God, this dude is trapped in the 90s and there's no way he's coming out of that at all. and like the whole comment underneath like the email would be like, yo, I'm just so passionate about my music and I feel that music needs a breath of fresh air and this right here will bring life to the music industry. Bolo, check me out. And I'll be like, no, it's not going to work. It's over for you, bro. It is. It's not going to work. It's over with. Like right now, if somebody came in right now and they actually rapped like Biggie Smalls right now today, y'all would say that it's not good because it sounds old school. Even though as great as Biggie was, I love all of Biggie's records, like most of them. I love most of Biggie's records that came out. But if somebody came out right now rapping like Biggie, it would be very weird right now. It'd be like, huh? Dude rapping like it's 93. What the hell? But the times have changed and music has evolved to what it is right now. And I think me, just me, one person out of 8 billion people, I think music is at a point right now to where it's so many different genres. It's so much stuff out here. A lot of stuff is being accepted. And I believe there is like a renaissance of how music is changing and the way we make beats. Like people don't even make beats or really make, type of beats that we used to make back in the day. They're really making textures with drums behind them. And I think it's really cool. And that's not just on the hip hop side, but it's everywhere. Even on the rock side, even on the dance side, everything is like it's a texturized type of a sound, but they're still adding in a lot of melodic elements and stuff to it. And I think it's very dope. So I want to ask you guys, do you think the music right now is bad? Or do you just think you're just getting older and your music tastes have just changed? Or if you're just old and you're just hating, So either way, go ahead and leave something in the comments so I can read them. I enjoy reading your comments. And I hope this video was informative. I hope you guys learned something from it. And I hope you guys liked it. And like I always say, peace out.